felt like I was going to die, so it was pretty sad. And then I got better, so.
Okay, everyone, shall we get started? It's 5:30 and Carter turned on the microphone. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming. We do have a quorum, which is always good. So we'll start out with a review of the agenda. We will have public comments and then commissioner comments shortly after that. Review and approve of January and February minutes. We will have Lieutenant Tinseth talk about professional disaster project. Did I say that right?
Yes, and Maloney's sick.
Oh, and so we will not have de-escalation?
That's correct.
Okay, and so we will not have our de-escalation in the field since Sergeant Maloney is ill tonight. So we will scratch that from our agenda. Then we'll have the director's reports, and then we'll have talk about our outreach efforts on Facebook and community meetings. Anybody have anything they want to add to the agenda? Perfect. With that, I will turn it over to Scott for public comments.
So we have some blue forms in the back. If anyone wants to make a public comment, fill those out. We give 3 minutes. And we have
We have no comments.
comments.
Leah,
Thank
want to
you.
make a comment?
I have no public
Okay. So with that, we'll move on to commissioner comments, and Edward, as I look to you, I'm going to catch you with a mouthful. If you don't mind starting us out, that would be great. We'll go around the table.
The cookies are delicious. I highly recommend picking one up if you have the opportunity. On top of that, the Human Rights Commission's been really involved recently working with city staff on helping to facilitate some more involvement for communities of color in the police chief hiring process. We're really excited that the city's been very open to some suggestions from those communities that we've connected with, made some recommendations, and feeling optimistic about the process and the interviews that are going to be happening on Tuesday next week. And I will be there representing the HRC, and I think, Bill, are you there as well?
I will be there representing the commission.
I look forward to spending the day with you.
That'll be great. Thank you. Chris, would you?
We're going this way, okay.
We're going this way, you guys.
Nothing really. We also have our EPA board is meeting with chief candidates, I believe, next Wednesday. So, we'll, and Michael Clues has gone to Virginia and Vancouver and I forget the other.
Richland.
Richland to talk to some folks that know these candidates. So, it's been good.
Thank you.
I've heard from a couple of folks in Indivisible who are interested in the police chief search, and at least one of them signed up to be on the citizens board. I wasn't quite sure, but I think they're savvy enough. They figured it out once I pointed them in the right direction. That's all.
Good. Thank you, Sean. Terry?
Nothing from me.
Nothing. Jennifer?
So I had a meeting with the mayor the other day, and I mentioned how the police commission was looking at how we can do a little better on outreach, and also like streamlining a little more how we get information back to the council. And she was really looking forward to what we're going to be doing, and thought that was great. And also helping people distinguish between the two, the citizen review board and us, and how those differences, because people often get confused. So, yeah.
Nothing today.
Nothing today. Director, do you have any comments?
I'll just wait for my turn.
For your turn later today? Okay. Scott?
So we had our budget workshop on Monday, and public safety became a hot topic for discussion in future presentations during the budget cycle. So I'll continue to send the information as we have those come available, and the dates of the budget committee meetings, so that if you want to observe, I think some of those presentations might prove to be invaluable. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just want to welcome everybody again. Appreciate everybody's time tonight. And I don't think I have anything to update the group about. So with that, we'll move on to the review and approve of the minutes for both January and February.
So moved.
Have any seconds? Any other discussion or corrections on those minutes? If not, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say opposed. And so we'll move on to the professional stops program update. Lieutenant, if you'd mind joining us at the table?
I was trying to think when it was last I reported, it was probably close to a year ago. We've made quite a bit of headway over the last year. Thank you.
This is, yeah, go forward back out there. And if you want to move over, you can sit over there, it's easier.
Okay. So, I've been working on this project for about 2 years, but it goes back to 2013, and I just wanted to give just a quick overview of the history of the program. Chief Kearns originally signed it back in January 2013. There was an advisory committee that met. Captain Kamkar and Kip Leonard, I believe, were the chairs of it. Developed some data points about what we'd like to collect and why we'd like to collect it. Worked with EPA, came up with an agreement, published a policy back in 2014, and then we started looking at ways we could implement our data collection. And originally we were checking with we were hoping to get this done with our software vendor, but after several delays, we decided to see what alternates were out there, and we ended up doing a pilot program on an iPhone app. And at the end of that, we decided that that was not the way to go. We weren't getting, we have a performance metric of 100% participation, and we just couldn't make that work with the method of collection. People forget to do them, and it's the amount of time or the amount of intrusiveness into the officer's already busy schedule was just more than we could justify. So we finally got to take a look at our SunGuard, or Superion, as they've been sold to Superion now. Got to take a look at their project or their program, made some suggestions, and then we're able to field another shorter test phase where we're able to make sure that it worked as intended, and it did. So we were happy with the product and the workflow, and so we moved forward with training all of our staff in November. And because this is a type of a system where every computer in our fleet needs to get touched by IT staff, we did a soft rollout. So over the course of December, everything was updated and officers started using the system. None of the data was collected, but it wasn't, we didn't necessarily do any analysis, or it was just practice, basically. So on January 1st, we went live with data collection, and we're about 6 months ahead of time for meeting House Bill 2355's requirement that Tier 1 police agencies, which there are 10 or 11 in the state of Oregon, we're one of them, that have more than 100 officers, start collecting data by July 1st of this year. So we're well ahead of the curve and are collecting everything we need to. So 2355 went into effect in August. It did two things. It mandated police agencies to collect demographic data, and it also required, it also changed Oregon's drug laws, making several of them misdemeanor offenses. So we collect a wide variety of stuff. I apologize, it's probably too small to read, but everything in green up there, our computer system automatically captures for us and creates a little, like a partially filled out form. And the officers can fill that out after the stop, later in the shift, whenever they get a chance to get to it. And ideally, most of them are completing their stop, going to a safe place off the roadway or whatever. It takes under a minute to fill out the stuff, and it gets shipped off. This is an example of what they see, the officers see in the car. Everything in yellow is pre-filled out. So because we use a computer-aided dispatch system, we know who the officer is, the date, time of the stop, and location of the stop. And then the officer will fill out the reason for the stop. In this case, it would be a traffic offense, and the demographic data of the person that they contacted. It's pretty quick. If there are searches and whatnot, it gets into a few more drop-down fields, but in the end, and then it asks you if you searched the vehicle and if there were any notes.
Can I ask a question about the part that it fills in? So how does it know when the officer makes a stop?
So anytime that an officer does a person stop or a traffic stop, our dispatch center creates this record, computer record. It's a computer dispatch system. And the date, time, location, et cetera are captured. This record here is the computer-aided dispatch ID number. I'll get to our auditing feature here a little bit later, but it pairs up our stop.
Okay. So what he calls it in, this is
Right.
what's created by the dispatcher?
Right.
Okay, that's what I wanted
Yeah,
to.
they'll know the officer's ID, date, time, location, et cetera. And that's just an example of one that we did, I think, back in the test phase from last summer.
I was curious about the race, since
Yeah.
that is a contentious issue often. Are they filling that in based on just what they observe, or they ask the person, because there's so many categories and so many ways to answer this question, I don't know,
Sure.
what's possible.
Last time.
I don't know that I necessarily have a slide that addresses that, but it's a good question, so I should have put that in. This is all based on the observation of the officer. We're testing that observation. We're not validating against any other computer records or making any questions about, yeah.
Okay.
And so it's all based on the observation of the officer. So what we do with the data is, at least annually, we send it up to the Criminal Justice Commission, and they do a variety of analytics on this. One of the things that they do is they're following the Connecticut model of analyzing this data with a few variants, and they also will do a veil of darkness, which says that at night you could presume that the race of the driver is unknown, and at daytime the race of the driver could be known. Is there a disparity in data between nighttime stops versus daytime stops? I can tell you that Oregon State Police has been tracking this for years, and they actually don't have a difference. But they're, several 100,000 stops. Yeah, we are. We'll probably have about 20 or 20,000 qualifying stops this year, perhaps a bit more. We're also on the working with the Oregon State Police on an advisory stakeholder group. There's a team of us here that have met and helped guide the state's program. This is an example of, if you guys can read it or not, it's basically a data set of, for instance, race. It says what race categories do we want to capture? Well, white, black, Hispanic, Native American, Pacific Islander, Middle Eastern. We added that one. And after discussion with a very broad, diverse group, they added Middle Eastern last week, or last month. So where we go from here, now we're already collecting all the data. We'll need to change some of our drop-down fields based on the decisions that the state group has made, and to align our data fields or our drop-down fields, like our race field. Ethnicity is Hispanic, yes or no, is captured in our race field. It's the same as the state. So what the state has done is they've hired a company called 5 Point Solutions. They're out of South Carolina, and they're going to be creating a number of things, but one of the things is a data portal that all of the police agencies in Oregon will send their data to, and they'll make it into a format that's usable for the CJC on the other end. Like I said, our team's been working with OSP on that and getting the data tables to match. I'm anticipating changing those data tables at the end of June. So on July 1st, we'll have consistent data tables with the state. This is an example of what we're getting now. As of last week, when I made this PowerPoint, our traffic and person stops, year to date, we have 2,250 traffic and person stops. That was in essence January and February. We have 35 that are missing, and I say missing as in they're delayed. We have some non-tablet user, like our motors team and downtown foot patrol, that will be a day or two behind when submitting. So we're always going to have some. And what I do every day is I look at this and I make sure that all the tablet users have all of their stuff in, and make sure those people that are non-tablet users don't really get behind. Their supervisors also get a copy of the same report, so they're able to hold their people accountable. But 99% is on any given day, but yet we don't have anything more than a couple weeks old, and everything else is all reported. It's pretty good. When I was describing this to state police and their team doing this project, they were shocked. They said this is really good. So everybody's kind of getting into the mindset. It's normal to do this now. We're getting it into culture. We're kind of cementing that into culture, and by mid-year, it's just going to be part of everything you do. You get done with your stop and you put your demographic stuff in the computer and you're on to the next. So I'm pretty happy with the way this rolled out. And we do have some challenges with those non-tablet users. It's a bit clunky right now. We've asked for some money to get some tablets for those, the motors team. And the downtown team has those same issues. With that, is there any questions?
Have we had any complaints from any of the officers?
Anytime you ask somebody to do something different, there's going to be somebody who's not happy with it.
Substantive ones?
No, it's, because we talked it for a year before we actually did it. We did 2 trials. Officer Mackey was one of helped us with the iPhone app, and worked with the union well. That, it was just a matter of time. Chief had talked to, sometime before that about, hey, this is gonna be coming. I've made this commitment to our community. And, over the last year, just kind of bringing it up. We've done several press releases, getting it out. And training went fine. police training, if you don't know, can be somewhat contentious. You've got a bunch of A-personality people in one room. I know you presented there, and it was seamless. So I'm pretty happy with everything.
So I have a queue going here right now, so Scott, I'll put Edward in there, and then I'll put myself in after you, Edward. Go ahead, Scott.
You said there was some additional equipment you needed and a cost associated with that. What do you need and how much do you think into the budget?
Do you remember how much I actually asked for? To buy a tablet for every motor officer, the most expensive ones are $7,000. The least expensive ones are in the $4,000. And there's some upfit charges, and we have 8 or 9 motor officers. So I think I asked for about $150,000 total. We could we're looking at ways to pare that down a little bit, maybe do, and of course, I don't hold the purse strings on the budget, you know. But we threw that out as a hurdle to really fully achieve a seamless use, especially with our motors team, because they do so many traffic stops that coming back to the office at the end of the day is pretty clunky. So I've seen Springfield Motors, they have a system that they pull up, they do their, everything's electronic form, they don't write tickets. They select things and print one out just like state police does. So that is a direction that we have wanted to go for many years, and is a little behind right now, but if we had the infrastructure, I think bringing that along would be a little easier.
Edward, then I have myself after.
So following up on the motorcycle piece, is the CAD system based in the tablet that you would provide them, or is the CAD system based on the motorcycle itself?
The CAD system's the dispatch, and it's a call is generated by the dispatcher when they would check out on a traffic stop.
Okay.
And what the motor officer would do is once they're done with the stop, they would look at their tablet and there's this half filled out screen. They can either do it then or they can do it a little later in the shift. But just pick those. So in other words, for every qualifying event, you have a half filled out form.
Right.
And so all you have to do is just fill the rest of the form out, submit it, and you're done. Right now, they're coming back to the office and creating the full thing.
Okay. And then for data reporting purposes, so you guys report to the state police on an annual basis, is that correct?
The frequency of reporting isn't 100% nailed down. The software vendor was selected on Friday. They started Monday, and I was at a meeting Wednesday with a team, along with the other Tier 1 agencies, talking about how we're going to get data in and what they're going to provide for us.
From a public standpoint, is there going to be some kind of regular release of this data to the public or to the Police Commission, or the Human Rights Commission, so that the public is aware of what's happening and trends in these reports?
So there's a few things. One of the things that Bill says is that it's blind in the fact that individual officers are stripped. It's just the data.
Yeah.
Whether we put that on our website or not, that's for others to decide. Certainly if someone were to make a public records request.
The Police Commission actually discussed this when the pilot program started and came up with a template of what a releasable routine summary of the data would be. So absent the heat of actual data and actual deadlines, they talked about, so what would the information, what kind of information would make sense? And that has already been reviewed, and granted, nobody was here who's sitting at this table, but thought has been put into trying to come up with something that would do just that. A dump of summary data that would be available upon request to anybody for the easy summary requests. So, yeah, sorry, just wanted to throw that little history in.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Learn something new every single day.
So,
No one's at the table.
First of all, I was at the table during the professional stock
That's
policy.
good.
So
That's
there was
great.
one.
That's fabulous, thank
Well,
you.
and that's where that was my question, is that with the House bill and it all going up to the CJC, will it come out of, will all the data then come out of them instead of coming out of the individual departments? Do you know that?
I do. All of the analysis will be the state level. They have a variety of ways they'll look at it, but it will be from a state level. We can always view our own, and there will be certain analytical tools that we can apply, that the state is going to be using, that we can apply to our data, and look at it that way also.
Yeah, because the public records request was why I was wondering if the new House bill, because that came out after our policy that limited, that everything had to go through them, but, okay. Anybody have anything else? Any other?
Well, now that you mentioned the data collection, and could we look at just ours, well, then will they be putting it out by these 10 different, so you can compare among districts how the data looks, or it's going to be in one general report?
They've, this is such a short timeline that they've hired people at CJC, and their head researcher just started like 2 months ago. So they've been giving reports to us, but I don't know that they've definitively, their different methods of analyzing the data, I don't believe it's even fully set yet.
Second.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Good. Well, thank you. We appreciate your time today.
You're welcome.
So we're going to move on to the director's report. So,
Thank you.
Dr. James, I will turn it over to you.
Well, good evening. It's, turns out I might be with you another month. I cannot proceed beyond that. I think the public's been made fairly well apprised of the plans of the city for our police chief selection, beginning next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The 3 finalists will be subjected to a very thorough opportunity to meet with a variety of groups and public in people inside the organization. As Chris mentioned, the EPA leadership will have a chance to meet with the candidates individually. There's going to be community sessions. They'll meet with all the executives in the city, of course, and department heads. There'll be time for that, and different community groups, citizen groups. They will have 3 days of very busy meetings, one after another. They'll be meeting during lunches, dinners, receptions, media. So whoever can stand up to that bright spotlight may be our successful candidate. They've already been reviewed and really held up to a bright spotlight by the Strategic Government Resources, who is conducting the process. It's rigorous, and as I had told you before, so we have the 3 candidates that remain, with ones who really stood up to the spotlight to that point, so I'm hopeful about that. Our city manager will have the opportunity to receive input from everybody who had a contact with them. They're going to try to collect observations from people and kind of I know exactly what that's going to look like, but everybody who has contact with might be a chance to fill out some information. And then the citizens are going to have the ability to make comments through, I think, a brief website I don't know how those things work, quite frankly, but they'll be able to put in their input on that. For all those things will, I think by the 19th, which is Saturday of next week, that will close. Then it will be in the hands of our city manager to review that information, to decide which candidate might be successful and to make an initial job offer for that. That's kind of the schedule. I think he's looking for, within a couple of weeks after that, being able to announce. There's all kinds of processes involved with that, and talking to somebody and making sure all the I's are dotted and the T's crossed. But we should know pretty much by, certainly, probably by the third, fourth week down there, we'll know what's going on and who he's selected. Are there any questions about that? Not that I can answer. That may be about as best I can give you. The city staff has done a very detailed schedule for these individuals. They'll be coming in here on Sunday. Maybe some of them will come in on Saturday. Two of them can drive. One of them's going to have to fly. Their spouses are invited, but they're just going to be extremely busy during that time. And I do know that y'all also have an opportunity to make some interfaces, and I think that's already been scheduled with y'all. Should be interesting. And then some of those cases, I'll be kind of a fly on the wall to kind of really just observe them. That's it. I'm not going to be doing a lot of interfacing with them on a one-on-one basis at this time. They're really busy. I'll meet with the successful candidate. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that when they can get here. We won't know exactly until they know. Then we'll do that. I don't have a lot of other things to report to you. My time from now on will be really trying to, once we have that candidate announced, is to really start planning that transition, to be sure that the staff is prepared to receive the new chief. Everything from being sure they can walk in and have a smooth orientation into their office and into the department. Because of the work that I do coming in as a stranger, I see how the cities handle that, and I try to keep them from making the same mistakes with our new candidates, and have been somewhat successful. And a new person coming in the organization from outside, there's a lot of things you don't think about because we take for granted we do on a daily basis, and I hope I can give some perspective to that so it will be a little smoother for them. Staff here was great with me, and so I assume it'll be the same for our new chief coming in. I know we're not going to be able to get the presentation out on de-escalation. I was looking forward to that too. You may have heard this. I think I made a reference to an opportunity I had to be in the field to actually observe our officers interface with an individual who probably doesn't have a firm address in our town, who's here on a regular basis, has contact with us. He committed burglary, and I was in the field when he had burglarized the mailboxes at it's a special needs apartment complex, and then went across the street and got into their community room and had fallen asleep there, and our officers were there to confront him. What I witnessed was very professional officers who handled the individual with great care. You could see the effect of the critical incident training, de-escalation training. They were quite calm. This was an individual who has a history, and sometimes an aggressive history with us, and they did a great job of dealing with the individual. It takes a long time. They were very patient, much longer than I, as a young police officer, would have spent in that same circumstance. And it's a difference in the training. The officers take it seriously, and I think they're going to follow through on that. From my observations, the officers have the ability to communicate well and to be patient with people, and they're very skilled. I haven't had as much opportunities as I wished I'd had to be in the field, but in all aspects, when I am out, I have been out there, I have been impressed that the people know what they're doing. I really don't have anything else unless y'all have some questions of me.
I heard that we would have a chance to meet them, but I haven't caught that yet. When is our chance to interface with them?
To meet who are we talking
The
about?
candidates.
Well, there was some public forums that you could sign up for. The city manager asked me as the chairperson to sit on the interview committee, which Edward was referring to earlier. Him and I will sit on that. But there was there's some evening, I think, public events that you can attend to. And I think that's all on the website.
Yes, if you go to the city website, you should be able to see those invitations out there and access to that. That's the way it's being advertised. I honestly haven't looked myself, but they do the website very well.
Good. Anybody have anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. So now we'll talk about our outreach efforts. If I could talk, it'd be great. I'll turn that over to Scott, who's going to talk about the next two items.
All right, so now we have some visibility on our outreach program too, so that's exciting. Thanks everyone for your support last week, and that Carter, could you help make sure that with the Facebook piece, there's two ways to go about it. There's the one where you do the plan, and then there's one where you add a disclaimer.
Yes.
And we can move, could you just highlight that real quick so everybody in the room knows what the two options are at least?
So if for Facebook pages that the city has, the city staff do it, manage it, control it, assure that it's meeting public retention requirements, because that's all public record that has to be retained for however long. And there is in your packet a plan that they require the manager of a social media page to fill out and have conversations with the city's public information officer. It includes things like how often are you going to update the plan, who's going to be the manager, how are you going to deal with contentious comments. And some of that comes up in the interviews after you fill it out and send it in. For a commission, the presumption is that that's not the city necessarily doing it, because you're not city employees. So if the commission wants to do a page and manage it and identify who the Facebook page manager is going to be, you don't have to fill out that whole form. You are encouraged to think through it because they're the right things to think about. And then what needs to happen is there would be something put on the Facebook page that says, this is not a City of Eugene page. The Equity and Human Rights Commission Homelessness Task Force has a Facebook page that is the first, I think, of the boards and commissions that have a separate Facebook presence beyond the city's page. The city has a Facebook following of about 6,000 followers. So the public information staff would say, hey, if you want anything posted, let us know, we'll post it. That's perhaps what you want to do, and if what you want is a commission page, then that's not that.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
That is, thank you. So I guess the first question I have is anyone, I know we talked about potentially running a Facebook page ourselves. Is there anyone here that's interested in managing that Facebook page?
Yeah,
Afraid not.
That's the problem.
So I think.
I think there was a few of us that could work together on it, but I'm looking for some expertise around this.
How often do we really think we're going to have something to post? It seems like the other option might be a little more reasonable, where we like periodically send something to the staff to put out. I mean, if they have 6,000 people, the chances of us having anywhere near that is, I manage one for work, and it takes a lot more time than you would think. And building followers takes forever as well. I don't know. If we were voting, I would vote for sending things to the city page.
My concern is twofold. I like that the commission would have the public outreach. That's a whole job, as I understand it. And that provides folks particularly who feel vulnerable communicating with the police an extra layer of security, hopefully trust, where I don't think they would necessarily have that with the city employees.
I do echo Jennifer's concern about the amount of effort it takes. If a Facebook page is something that this group really wants to do, we really need to be committed to managing and keeping it relevant and current. Otherwise, you're going to lose followers very quickly, and you're going to lose engagement. And I know personally I don't have the ability to commit to providing that support. While I think that the outreach is a good idea and using social media is a good tool, I think it's a big challenge for us to take on that. I know Commissioner Gary, if he was here, has a lot of expertise in those fields and spends a lot of time doing that, and may, health dependent, be willing to help support some of that work, but I don't want to put words in his mouth.
The other thing that the police page managers would caution is that providing content information out is really important, but what's really critical for the police department is people use the Facebook page to report crimes. So we don't want to have somebody reporting a crime that then we check once a week. So, just.
So I think right now, just starting out, this is new for us. I think we should maybe, we have our weekly mailings that go out that Carter prepares for us. I think that's a forum as well to submit things that maybe we would like to have posted to the city's Facebook and let them go through the process and making sure it's good, and that way the records retention and everything is met. Is that?
They would be happy to post anything you want.
Okay.
They're always looking for content.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but then I think we need to post things on a more regular basis if it's a true outreach piece, so that they can also give us the feedback, and then we all need to friend, I guess, that page if we haven't already. There's another aspect. Oh, you said the Human Rights Commission recently started one?
There's a subgroup of we have a couple of work groups that support the work of the commission, and the homelessness work group is one of those, and they have created their own independent Facebook page. I think they make clear that they're not the commission. And they're a very, very dedicated and active group of folks. They meet twice a month. There's about 12.5 regular attendees. They have an email group that fills my inbox daily. And they've really committed to kind of pumping out material, and I don't follow it closely, but I've seen a good amount of engagement on it. So it can be a successful tool.
Would you mind, since you're the liaison there, as we post things, if we get more feedback that is headed in a positive direction, that maybe we could take some of their learnings and you could share those out at a later date?
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be okay? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think that, you're okay with that?
So do we need a motion to do that, or can we just do that?
You can just do that. If what you're doing is
So
not
what-
creating your own Facebook page,
Right.
that's easy.
Okay. So,
I like that.
Do you have an idea, Scott? I'm sorry, can I put myself in queue? Do you have an idea, Scott, of what kinds of content, and I missed last month's meeting, and perhaps that was discussed there, I didn't see a lot of that in the notes. What sort of content are we hoping to share out?
yeah, I think some of the stuff could be our agenda like we're doing on the city website, right? But Facebook's a little more friendly, and if you're already friended it, then you're gonna get that feed when you make an update there. There could be other issues that we're asking for information or from the public on, maybe something that we're reviewing. There's the drone policy.
I was gonna
for
say, the
instance,
drone
would be
policy
a-
comes to mind.
A great one, and as we start that pilot, wouldn't it be great to gather information to provide to the council so that we're a better resource than just us sitting here in a vacuum and then with the folks that are here. I think that's where I think we would like to go and have more contact that way. Let's move forward then. We did talk about meetings, and I think we reserved a meeting room for the summer at the library, and that's,
June
is that right?
14th. The June meeting is at Aerosol.
And we'll see how attendance is at our meeting there, and that'll also give us a
That
little
would be a
more
good
reach.
thing to post on the city's webpage.
And there you go, there you go, first post. Next, we have meetings. So I thought what we could do here is I'll run a spreadsheet and I'll just send it to, I don't know if that's okay. I don't know if it's better for you or me, now that I think about that.
Just wait, finish your sentence.
What I was thinking is some sort of, as I have, like, bring that back. So we could volunteer for the meetings, the neighborhood meetings that we're gonna, and other community activities that we're gonna participate in, and that way we all know who's going to what, and the goal was 100%, at least for the neighborhood associations first. That was the first piece of our outreach. I'm trying to think of the best way to do that without having,
I have a question.
yes.
When you say participate, are you presenting or just being in the room?
What I would envision is that we contact the, whoever's running the meeting in charge and say that we would like to be there at the meeting, and if you just want to sit in the back, that's fine, and we'll listen and see what kind of public comments come up that surround the police or the police commission, and maybe take that back to the next meeting here. Or if they say, you know, we'd like to know what you do and where you meet, we can do that kind of PR piece.
When you say 100%, over what period of time?
Over the next year,
Oh, not
So
a month or two.
Hit every neighborhood once.
once over the year.
At least one.
Okay.
That seems
At least once
doable.
every year, yeah.
Not so bad.
So I do have, and I thought we'd, in order to make contact ahead of time, to let them know that we'd like to attend, and if they want to have us do anything to prepare for that, April would probably be a better month to start rather than this month, because we could jump in right away, but I don't think that's a good way to do it. Show up kind of either unannounced or not prepared, but maybe beginning in April. So Carter was able to put the schedule out. I didn't know if anybody had any ideas and viewed that and wanted to throw their name on any tonight.
Scott, I'll be happy to go to the Jefferson meeting, Jefferson West Side, because that's my neighborhood.
Thank you.
On April 10th.
There's one meeting on there that is requesting an RSVP, and that's the Asian Council. That's, I believe, in March. So if somebody wants to attend that, you need to RSVP and get back to them. Let me get that date, sorry.
Is that, over here?
It's at the bottom of page 11 of the packet.
Which
They
one
meet
was
every
it?
other month.
Asian Council.
Oh,
Asian
they're
Council.
requesting us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. March
But
19th.
They want an RSVP, so that would be the only.
March 19th. Oh, I have one. That's a
Otherwise, they
Monday.
meet every 2 months, so you can pick it up again in May. It's just
I'll
on
get
this
back to you on
list.
that
That's fine.
tomorrow.
That's fine.
I can't go to the March one, but I'd be happy. I think it would be cool if the police commission and the HRC teamed up together. And so if whoever from the commission wants to go, would like to go in May, I'd be happy to join, do it as a partnership.
For the Asian Council?
Yeah.
And then there's several agencies that did not, I didn't hear back from them on their dates. That's on the very back page of the packet. So they would need some more follow-up to figure out. I sent it to a generic information email address and didn't hear back about it. We'd love to come to your meeting. So it warrants follow-up.
Okay.
So,
I will volunteer to go to the Churchill on April 12th.
So we got JWS.
Anyone else seen anything stand out right?
Can we look at stuff in May too? My April is
Sure.
just a disaster.
I'll take Southwest Hills in May.
what's the date?
Looks like May 10th.
I could take Whitaker Community Council on May 16th.
May
Actually,
9th.
that's a lie. May 9th I can
May
do,
9th.
yeah.
Sorry, say again?
On May 9th, the Whitaker Community Council.
And then, are we gonna send this out, so?
Yes.
Because it's just hard for me to check the calendar.
Yes, yes, and there'll be blanks that we can add. I'm just trying to get it started so
Okay.
folks can see and understand what's happening via email. And Edward, I'll probably attend that with you if you're okay with that.
That's great.
Whitaker?
In May.
There are a few of these that I could probably go to, but I am so new, I don't want to.
You want a team member.
Yeah, I don't want to go and try to explain something. I'm not sure what's expected of me. I guess is the question. Just if it's just go and listen to them, I can do that.
It could be as easy as that, that's right.
It's probably what you're comfortable with. I think we just need to let them know that you're attending so that they know we're there. So if they want to talk about something, they just say, I'm just there to listen.
To listen.
And so, yeah. So don't feel like you have to give a presentation. If they ask for one, then we can come back to the group and see if somebody is more comfortable doing that. So, amazing.
I think I can do Laurel Hill Valley on April 4th.
That's their executive committee.
Oh, that's our executive.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
that's
may not
not,
wanna do that,
that's
yeah.
not. Never mind. Clara.
In May, they have a regular kind of meeting, I think they have. General meeting is May 16th.
Oh, that's probably a bad day. Maybe not.
It's the Neighborhood Leaders Council meeting, is that a combination of all the leaders coming together?
I was gonna say, I would do that one for April, if I can make that. So the 24th.
If you want to get on their agenda, you might actually have to contact them a couple months in advance, but if you just want to sit there.
I'll contact them and see what they'd like.
Want to pencil you in, Bill? I don't know if you'll put this on or you're capturing it or.
I'm capturing it,
Okay.
and why don't we compare notes?
Sure.
Make sure that we,
Sure.
because it's possible I'm missing something.
Okay. I think we got off to a good start here. Anyone else? And I know there's a lot of members absent that will tackle some of these too.
Let's just start signing them up now.
So-
That's what we do on the Human Rights Commission. You don't attend, you get meetings.
So none of my neighborhoods, not all neighborhoods, there's like 20-some neighborhood associations. So obviously these are not all of them. All 3 of mine do quarterly meetings and I will be at all of them. So whenever they occur, I will do Harlow, Cal Young, and Northeast neighbors. So
I will do my best to come with you to Cal Young, since that's my neighborhood.
That would be nice, yeah. Yeah, so I will let you guys know when that happens so you can get on the schedule, but I am always at all of them, so.
My neighborhood is southeast, so I'd be up for that, but I don't see it here. There's a southeast organization.
There is.
Yes.
A lot of them meet quarterly,
Maybe that's,
Or less.
or less.
Or they didn't get their
Right.
schedule to the Office
Yes.
of Neighborhoods.
It's a
So-
secret.
On other community organizations too, there's a group called the Latinx Alliance, which is a coalition of a number of Latino advocacy groups. They meet every Friday at Central Latino at 3:30 p.m., 4 o'clock, something like that. I think that if we reached out to Centro, who's kind of the convener of that, they'd be very open to having a conversation with us.
Do you know who else might be good is that First Fridays of Color?
Communities of Color, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they have short speakers sometimes. We wanted to just introduce ourselves and say, hey, I'm over here at this table, come talk to me.
And the City Human Rights and Neighborhood Involvement Office helps coordinate that event.
The first Fridays?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Who is going to the Southwest Hills?
Didn't I say that?
I know somebody was. I'd like to
I
go
am.
with you. It's-
I am. You want to attend with me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
In May.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and there's probably some other, of these other community organizations we probably need to try to reach out and find out if they have regular meetings or do some of that, because I think there's some other ones that would probably be beneficial for us to attend.
That's
So-
why it's listed.
Yeah, so we need to. Okay.
Thanks, Scott, for your work kind of pushing on this. I think it's really important work.
Thank you. And it's going to be a team, that's for sure. Thank you.
Anything else?
Chair.
Disappoint people that we may get out early. But if you'd like me to stall for the next hour and a half, I can, and sort of talk randomly and read something to you. So, with that, we'll quickly go around the table for closing commissioner comments, and we're going to start with you again, Edward.
All right, first. I have no further comments tonight.
None.
Sean?
Nope.
Jennifer?
I'm good.
Director, any last
Glad to be with
words for the month? So, well, thank you, everyone. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight again. We're on an early evening, which should make everybody happy. So, but thank you. We'll see you next month. Thank you, Carter.
Carter, here's.